How are you? Is it just me or does it feel like everybody has moved abroad lately? Every day I go on Instagram and I see my friends posting stories from places that I only see in movie and TV. Like everybody is in either US or Canada or Australia or something along those lines. So what's up? What did I miss? Did everyone leave already? I mean, did somebody tell me? Also, there are a few other questions in my mind. Like, I wonder why is my social media feed riddled with food delivery apps, clothing brands, and cafes? Like, oh wow,
New
new
food
food place
place
in
in
Bhaneswar.
Bhaneswar. One
A
plate of
plate of
momo
momo
at
at
only
only
199.
199. I feel like we are all racing towards some post-capitalistic dystopia, something we will see in movies and stuff. Growing up, I was taught that we should value simple things in life. We come from a country where we value simple living and high thinking. But yet it feels like today everybody is going after brands. I remember one time I was having this session with my friends and I was wearing normal everyday shoe. Dude, I felt so broke in that moment because everybody either had Jordans or something like that. When we were growing up, it didn't matter what kind of shoes you were wearing or what kind of things were you were into. Like really the hip people only ever cared like what kind of shoes they had on. And the rest of us we just wore whatever felt comfortable. But nowadays I even see myself like I dress to impress maybe sometimes. I mean, maybe I'm just impressing myself, but yet I do it. And, it keeps you wondering, keeps you asking, like, how do you fit in the world? Like, what is happening? You thought you were some down to earth kind of dude, and now you are all following this, and now you're following trends and whatnot. Everything needs to be ridiculously expensive if you really like it or something. I do still love Momo. I yell Buddha was born in Nepal from every rooftop and railing. I tell every foreigner I meet that Buddha was born in Nepal. I mean, I am as Nepali as random Nepali. And yet it feels like with every foreign show that I watch and every Instagram story that I post, I am becoming something more than who I already am. Like these bits of music, art, and literature are changing me and making me something more than who I already am. I'm a strong believer that every man must speak his mind, but yet when I'm with family and there are elders or other people present who are not very affectionate to me or my parents, I have to bite my tongue. Like, I can't criticize them. I have to have a certain decorum about it. This also means that they have a lot of power in the relationships. Like, my uncle growing up was in charge of how good I did with my studies. And I was a little scared of him. What happens in such relationships is often they have certain expectations from you and they want you to do certain things, but the things you want to do might not exactly want to align with them. And this makes the relationships very partial, like one person has a lot of power and authority over the other one, and the other one might not be able to speak up or do what they want to do. It feels to me that I look up these things online and I want to certainly mimic like the individuality and how other people are expressing themselves in other cultures, and I want to do the same thing here because we grew up watching that. But I feel like we are still stuck in a society that values the old relics of rules and regulation that we had, like if that makes any sense to you. While we are living in a globalized country where people barely just stay in their country. What is it to be a Nepali in 2024? Is it to wait for Playboy Cardi's new album? Or is it eating oranges while you are sunbasking and listening to Nara and Gopal? like most Asian countries, we do value family structure and family ties like above everything else. I mean, we don't go flying our cars over Tarara when our brother is in trouble. I mean, still family. Recent bangers by like maybe Sakar or Unique Poet, like I believe they are on par with the rest of the world. I mean, we all listen to a lot of pure Bollywood, but we can all agree that Nepali rap music is a lot better than Indian rap. And also, since diversity is already part of the culture, people from different background and different caste and families, they have their own spin on the culture as well as the music. Also, we for a country that makes pennies on the dollars, we have a lot of technology. Like we have Teslas and PS5s and everything. Like I remember my granddad used to say, like Nepal is poor, but Nepalese are not poor, and it certainly rings true because I remember recently I was out of the country, and while I was at the airport, I saw this lady. She was dipped in a Louis V from tip to toe, and I wonder if that was legit or not. But later I saw her in first class, so maybe, who knows? And I have been to parties where people were spending money like they were Bill Gates. It's totally absurd. Like, I remember these songs being about eloping from their homes, but now the thieves reels I watch, I'm not sure if they're entirely family safe. When I'm on Instagram, I'm seeing like baddies who are dressing up for themselves, of course, and then there are the heartbreaking Shakespeare's and poets, and everybody is either an influencer or a baddie or a gangster, something like that. I mean, I have lately begun to wonder, like, is it a real life? And while I do believe that this cultural shift that is happening is making us a more liberal and open society, I mean, the material circumstances have changed, of course. Like, people have a lot of mobility today than they had like 50 years back. I believe in 1951, after Rana regime ended, it was for the first time that we got exposed to Western thinking, a more standardized economic policies, as well as a little bit scientific approach to doing things. But yet, within this short time frame, I believe we have achieved so much. Yet, we gotta realize that a lot of these things, the changes that we are seeing, they only exist in a society that already follows a very Hindu, a very feudal, caste based mindset. Like, although things have changed, how we marry and how we date are often still connected to our caste and how we do things. Like, I see people who are doing really well for themselves, or the communities that find themselves in the top of the cultural zeitgeist, generally agreeing to marry with each other. But for other people, like people who are in the rural areas of Nepal, or even very scheduled caste, like maybe Chamar from Tarai or Sarki or a Kami, still has a very tough time adjusting in the society. My point is not to create a fracture in the society or exploit that it anyway. I'm just making out a point that if you are not a natively Nepali speaking person in Nepal, you kind of feel like an outsider sometimes. There is a lot of internalized toxicity, misogyny, and sexism. I mean, today women are far more free than they have ever been. For past 20 years, women have been majority in this country. Our president is a woman. Still, sex crimes just keep happening Like women are often very insecure when they are out alone. If you go to Reddit, every other day you will run into a post where a woman explains how she was harassed on her way home or on her work or something. I mean, we are the country where, regardless of the massive public outcry, the case of Nirmala Panta never got solved. I mean, it's been I don't know how many years. The government still don't know what happened. And while we are supporting LGBTQIA and we are trying to be a lot progressive, we keep forgetting that there are a few flaws built into the system. I don't want to ask anybody to throw everything away, everything that our ancestors taught us, our Vedas and Purans and everything, but I'm just telling people to keep an open mind about it. Like, we know for a fact that it doesn't matter what caste your partner belongs to, but still in our society, it's still a massive issue. And we also gotta remember that while the brokies, like people and us, we fight about what caste and what creed is better than the others. The people who are the ruling class, I mean the people who are in power, they don't really care. They only care about how much money they got and how much status is the other person gonna bring them. But yet people like us, like the middle class and the lower middle class, we are so much divided. We just wanna know who is better than who. And we are just trying to prove that we are not like the other one or we are better than them. Like, and what this makes me feel is that we are not evolving. We are simply putting on a new paint over the cracked walls. Like, we all remember how Kathmandu got cleaned while Modi was coming here, right? I wish they would put that much effort into actually making things better for. We progress, but we still look at things like we are living in the 1950s. We want a successful woman, but yet when she comes back home, that dinner better be ready. The next thing I wanna talk about is brain drain and development. I do not consider myself an expert in the subject, but still, I think there are a few things that we can just notice. I was sitting around Banishu with my friends at a cafe drinking tea, and I told them this dude is just making sensationalized content for people to rally behind. Like, we all have seen this guy and this guy. Yeah, he was kind of doing something similar. It was pretty transparent to me that he was not trying to do anything right, but he just wanted to use this to gain a little bit of popularity and use it as a political capital when he inevitably became a politician. And ultimately, that's what ended up happening. I mean, I don't think I was 100% right, but I could see what the person was doing. And that is sort of the thing with the politics in this country. We all can clearly see that there are a few key trends, but we can't do anything about it. So ultimately, my point is the politicians are doing politics just for the sake of politics. It's been 18 years since we had democracy, but still we didn't have one single stable government. There is rampant corruption, there is favoritism, and also like if you make good amount of money, basically you are above the law. Like, I haven't forgotten this case. So why would not Nepalese leave? And they often like to tout tourism as it is our Brahmastra. It is gonna end all our problems. But my question to them is what do you expect? Like, do you want each one of us to cater around some people who come to see our country? The amount of trash on Mount Everest should tell them that it is not sustainable at all. Like, How are we going to keep doing this? How do you expect to receive more tourists when you're already facing massive issues? And also to those people who see these shiny new cafes and restaurants and bigger roads and think that development is happening, my question to you is, does it really matter how posh of a cafe can you get if you can never eat at that place? Like, the basic salary in this country is abysmal. We can barely afford to live with that salary in a city. How do we expect to get involved in the indulgences and the things, material things we see online? How are you going to make it Switzerland when the Swiss are leaving? Our consumerism is totally dependent on foreign goods. Our politicians have this wealth that I don't know how they got. And it feels like the only thing Nepali right now is the Gulf. My friend once said that the Prime Minister is a total moron, but I like him. He's funny. And that about sums up the whole politics of Nepal. And also, a lot of people are coming out of woodwork to tell us that we need to stop leaving the country. The problem is, yelling that does not solve the problem. The problems one we have is of resources and even manpower up to an extent. And just yelling that tourists are coming is not going to solve our problem. It's like we are stuck in a limbo. Like, do you stay here and wonder what your life could be? Or do you go abroad and miss your home forever? And since we are already trapped in a cycle of broken promises, for a lot of people, it has become much easier to choose someplace else. And although for few of us the material circumstances have changed, the fact of the matter is for a lot of people they can change the amount of money they make, but they cannot change their status in the society. A lot of relationships still in Nepal break because the castes didn't align. Because Abba nahi manenge, of course. It is much easier to be a foreigner and get married to a Nepali family than be a Nepali family with a scheduled caste or something. Our identity shapes us the kind of person we become. It is the part of the culture we live in, and it also encompasses of various beliefs and values that unite us. For example, I believe excelling in education is one of the key aspects of being a Nepali. So, all of our history, we never had any say in what kind of person we wanted to become. When the kings and the monarchs were in power, they didn't care if we get educated or we had social freedom or not. But today, I feel like we yearn for a social revolution. We yearn for an open society where you can love whoever you want, where you can be with whoever you want. And it doesn't matter what choices you make. Like, you don't have to care how your nosy relatives and neighbors are going to judge you. People crave individuality. They want to criticize the government, but it feels like the society is still stuck in the past and we are not trying to change. Like, even though on the surface things are changing, deep down we are very much still stuck in the feudal past and we are not trying to change. And what it does is cause a dissonance in us. Like, on one hand side, we want better things, better material possessions, or better relationships. But on the other hand, we still have to abide by the policies and rules that were already defined for us. It feels like we are caught in a tug of war between our sexist, misogynistic past with our modern progressive future. Like, we like seeing women who are very provocatively dressed, but yeah, none of my family or my girlfriend is going to do that. Yes, we support body autonomy and sexual liberation, but yet every effeminate man, we call them a chakka. It is not unusual for us to feel a little bit lost It is not unusual for us to feel a little bit of identity crisis, where most of our lives we are spending it away from our homeland. It has become sort of a choice for every Nepali today to choose between their pride and their future. There is so much chaos, there is so much uncertainty. It feels like every kid today has to make a choice in their life sometime, that they want to stick with their pride or they want a better future. So, how can people not feel confused in such times? I get it. The politicians are swine. The politics is shit so, and the Janata is straight up beda. That doesn't mean we have to toss the system away. Like, even if you look at Nepali history, so many kings and queens have come and gone, and yet we are here. Maybe we are new to this democracy thing, but we'll figure it out. If anything history has taught us, it is that revolutions are useless. We have a good system right now. We just need people in power who can make better choices. We needed to fix the system sooner or later, and we needed to do that yesterday. So maybe we need more people like him and more people like him who could actually take some responsibility and help us with fixing the system rather than playing blame game. We need to elect better people who are in control and who know what they are doing. Being a Nepali means taking care of yourself, your family, and your community. So we all must be really careful who we elect next. Be less like the people who are running the country right now. There are a lot of sensationalized cunts who hog up the media and try to tell us that this is wrong and this is wrong, try to divide the whole country and do their city politics. But we gotta elect people in power who can change things, people who realize that we need to change the system, and people who are aware that we need to provide people with better opportunities and better facilities. We need to provide the youth with the resources so that they could succeed right here and not only work on themselves but work on the country too. We need people in power who can make sure that we have the right resources and the right policies in place so that every person is to free to craft and find their identity. Like Unipoid once said, we need to make people proud of the place they come from. We need to stop calling ourselves Satile Swarapeko Desh. Yes, the late king died. Yes, the politics is a setso. But we have to look past that. We have to look toward a better future. And we must stop comparing ourselves. I mean, development looks different for different countries. And we need to find out what works for us and what does not. I believe today being a Nepali means balancing modernity and tradition and finding what works the best for you. And I believe perhaps us all as Nepalis, maybe we should try doing that. Thank you for watching. My name is Roguelike. Go ahead and subscribe. I will be making more videos like this, also about technology and news. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in a week, I suppose. Bye bye. I love you.
Thanks for the watch.